Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Eric, and today we're going to talk about probably one of the biggest questions I hear from homeowners. What blade do I buy? And what are the uses? What are the applications? And some of the things that you need to keep in mind as a homeowner and also as a shop where you're selling blades to customers. You need to know what you're selling. So stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know it. And we do the weekday show Monday through Friday, podcast and video. And we also do repair videos during the day. But today we're going to talk about lawnmower blades. And a lot of misconceptions when it comes to a lawnmower blade. And sometimes overthinking what you need for a lawnmower blade. Now, when I get a customer that comes in and wants to get a set of mower blades, I ask them, what are they using it on? And yes, I know it's either a riding lawnmower or push mower, right? But no, are they running a bagger on it? Or are they mulching it back into the ground? Do they have really sandy loam soil? Or is it, more clay based? All these things have to be taken into consideration. Now, the normal thing is when it comes to just a standard blade, you have this is the high lift, and that's just, your cutting section is here, but it's the lift that you have here. And the higher the lift, the better it is if you're running a bagger. I mean, you can use this without a bagger, but this is designed to be able to push discharge out the side. So whether you're out the side trough or up into a bagger, the higher the lift, the better they are. This one here is a medium lift. Same idea, you got your cutting surface, but it's not so pronounced. It's not such an angle. This would still be okay with a bagger. And then you have your standard low lift blade. And it's just simply is saying that your cutting angle here is the same, but we're looking at the angle of the arch. The higher the arch, the higher it picks up, and it's used for bagging or blowing out a side chute. You can run all three of those blades on the same mower. It doesn't matter. But if you're taking and you're going to be using it on a bagger, the higher the lift, the better you are. Okay? And that's what I say. You don't want to overcomplicate things. Now, here's where we start getting into the gray area, right? If you don't ask what your customer or what you're using for a mower, if you have a bagger or not, you could easily sell them a mulching blade. And the problem with the mulching blade is it's designed to cut finer and have a downward push instead of an upward lift, if that makes any sense to you. The design of the mulching blade is strictly to cut it as fine as you can, put it back in so that the soil can get the nutrients out of that dead grass and thus provide better grass, right? These, we're looking to either get it off the yard through a bagger or have our chute just blowing it off to one side. So that takes us to the mulching, okay? And the mulching, they have still the high lift style blade, but now you're starting to see kind of a notch in that, right? And that's what's helping do the mulching. It's allowing the air to flow by. These are what they call notched raised blades. And you can see that here's the cutting edge. You would think, well, this has got to be a high lift, right? It's going to be good for the bagger. But it's not. It's allowing most of the flow to go through that notch. And it's causing it to give some lift. But the idea with this blade is to mulch it as much as it can and push it back down into the ground. Here's another one that you have the same idea. You got the cutting, but now this has got a cutting edge all the way across on this one. And this is kind of the best of all worlds, right? Now you've got a long cutting surface. You've got the notched if you want to mulch, but you also have ability for doing some lift, okay? And then a lot of people ask about these. These are gator blades. And they come for all different machines. Most of my contractors go with a gator blade because in the past, they've been a lot thicker steel. And these work good in the fall of the year when you're cutting up leaves, when you're trying to cut through them. Branches, pines, they work great for that. But now that I've showed you that there's a difference between the high lift, medium lift, and low lift, and then the mulching blades, let's take it a step farther. Not all blades are created equal. I'm telling you right now. And we've had issues in the past. And you take this one here, Sten sells it. But this here, basically, it's an MTD. And it's a stamped blade. It's really, really thin. I don't know if you can see how thin that is, but it's not very thick. And if you put that into sandy loam, you aren't going to get maybe 2-3 weeks out of that. Here's another blade that Sten sells, and look at how thick these are. All right? These are being produced by Blunt. These, good chances, are being stamped somewhere in the U.S. or made in Mexico is where these are coming from. Again, these are Stens. See how thick they are? These are Blunts. Rotary. I love rotary as well. They have the copper heads. And look at how thick that is. It's just, you can see the just weight alone of how long that's going to last you and what's going to give you the better beneficial. See, this one isn't as thick. It's still heavy. It's an Oregon blade. And Oregon, I think, is Blunt as well, but this is made in Mexico. Their blade. So not all blades are created equal. You get what you pay for sometimes. But if you're a smart shopper, what you'll end up doing is you'll locate the blade that you need, but you want to have nice and thickness. You want to take into account, am I going to run a bagger or blow it out the chute? And if so, stay with a low, medium, or high lift, okay? If I'm going to take and churn it into the ground and mulch, then I want a mulching blade. To get the best quality blades, in my opinion, is either going to be your Stens, which are mostly Blunt. Oregon puts out a good blade. And so doesn't Rotary with their copperheads. Those three are what I deem to be top shelf. And sometimes you don't have to pay top shelf to get top shelf. We try to, with our customers, we try to be fair with all of them. And we don't mark up the heavier ones. But what I can tell you as a shop, if you buy this, I may see you once a season because of how thick this is. This is the copper from Rotary. If you buy this and you're in a little bit of a sandy loam, I'll see you in about 2 to 3 weeks because this is going to be worn right out and unbalanced. So hopefully that's kind of helped you with trying to figure out what blade to get. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Either high lift, medium lift, low lift. Those are all bagger, straight cut, get it out. Your mulching blade with your notched gator style, they're made to cut it as fine as they can and put it back into the ground. The bad part is if it's wet ground, it will make a mess because it's making it fine and lifting it up to get it cut more, so it's going to end up like packing onto your deck like concrete. And this is an example right here. This was a, let me just tick here. Yep. So this here was basically a mulching blade, and with a notch. You can still see the notch, but this customer used this for 3/4 of the season, and you see, I mean, you got to know what your blade looks like, folks. This is not what you want to see when I bring it into my shop, especially when it's supposed to look like this. He's not only lost a little bit on each end, but his pieces are chunked right out, right? And that goes to the next thing. You can get these. This one here is an Oregon 42-100. It's a blade balancer. So if you're going to be sharpening your own blades, go online. They don't sell for a lot of money. It sits there flat, and you set your blade on it, and you spin it. You see that it's already trying to be lopsided. Let me get these moved out of the way so you can see it better. But do you see how it's tilting? That's because the blade is not balanced. And if you don't have that blade balanced and you put it back on your mower deck, it will shake the piss right out of it, and a lot of times take the spindles out of your bearings out of your spindles. Whereas if you put one on, this one hasn't been used yet. You see the difference? So if you are sharpening your own blades, couple things to think about. One is your lawnmower blade should never be sharp enough to cut you. That's the worst thing you can do, is to sharpen this down so that it's like a razor, because not only will you temper that steel, you'll also weaken it. And if you try to thin this down, it's not going to last. So when you're just doing a touch, it's not like a chainsaw where you got to have it sharp, sharp, sharp. You want it, this is a brand new blade. I can go like this and it's not going to cut my hand, because it's defeating the purpose of the blade. You want it just to have that pitch. And then if you've taken a grinder and you grinded both sides to get that pitch without going for sharpness, this little guy will help you determine which side is which, of whether your blade is out of balance or not. Alright guys, like I say, don't overthink it, but do decide when you're going, do I want it for a bagger? If I want it so I mulch it back into the ground, or side shoot with a bagger, you know, high lift, medium lift, low lift. And if I'm going to do mulching into the ground, get a mulching blade. And I would also recommend that you stay with either a Sten's, Rotary, or Oregon blade. Alright, thanks so much for watching.